Well, we have passed week 3. A lot of teams came out with some pretty bad injuries, which is pretty unfortunate. But a lot of upsets, a lot of great games, a lot of disappointments as well. So we got a whole list of emotions going through these games this week. Of course, the Chiefs win in a Chiefs way. But, lost my fantasy this week, so that's always really cool. But Broncos won, so it kind of makes up for it. Hopefully, everyone's team won, outside of the Chiefs, even though they did win. Let's just get into these games. So, Thursday night, we did have New England go to New York, and I had the Jets winning this game. I couldn't really see a way for the Patriots to really win this game, but Jacoby Brissett and the offense played pretty bad. As you can see here, there was only 78 total rushing yards out of, I would say technically 66 rushing yards. 12 of those were garbage time. But yeah, the offense was non-existent for the Patriots, which forced the defense to just kind of play the entire time. Aaron Rodgers had 2 touchdowns, one to Allen Lazard and one to Garrett Wilson. Tyler Conklin, 93 yards. Pretty surprising. He's kind of quiet of a tight end, and for him to kind of pop off like that on 5 catches is pretty crazy. But Breland Allen, 55 yards, 5 yards a carry. He kind of popped off as well. Breece Hall, 54 and touchdown. He was kind of getting held up, honestly, up until that touchdown. So they almost kind of shut down the run game, but ultimately this Jets defense was just too much for this Patriots offense, and the Patriots just didn't play good football pretty much anywhere. Pretty easy win for the Jets. Big division win as well. Next we have the Giants and the Browns. This was I would feel like it was a toss-up. I wasn't really expecting the Giants to win this game, but this team itself is very random, I feel like, with how they perform. Both of these teams, actually. The Browns are one of the worst teams in the league. The Browns just can't do anything with Deshaun Watson. The Browns would actually be a pretty decent team if they had another quarterback. But because of the Deshaun Watson situation and his contract, you can't do much. At the same time, he didn't play horribly bad this game. It's just the fact that this offense and this team can do a lot better with the more, efficient quarterback. And I feel like if you put Daniel Jones on the Browns, this is actually a pretty solid team. But you can't really get past that contract with Deshaun. It's kind of like you have to play him. As much as you don't want to play him, it's like you have to. Because it's like, if you don't play him, then what would you get the contract for? Because it's a fully guaranteed contract. Devin Singletary has been pretty solid, I feel like, for the situation he's kind of in. He's an undersized back, but he's a lead back. But I think he's done pretty well this season so far. Jerome Ford has been kind of carrying the load for the Browns up until Nick Chubb gets healthy again. But yeah, Amari Cooper finally did something this week. This is probably like the most. I don't even know. He's gotten basically 0 production the first 2 weeks, and he pops off with 86 and 2 touchdowns with this game. Malik Neighbors almost kind of gets the same with 78 and 2 touchdowns. Wan'Dale Robinson has been playing really great. Very underrated receiver, in my opinion. Nice little slot receiver. He's pretty short, though, 5'8". If he's like 6 foot, he's probably extremely, extremely dangerous. Up there with Devontae Smith, I feel like. But unfortunately, he's just a little on the shorter side. But he makes up for it with speed and separation off of his routes, which I think is a big reason why they won this game. He just made some pretty clutch catches. Malik Neighbors also was just playing really good. He just played a really great game, targeted a bunch. So Wandale and Malik Neighbors are pretty much, Daniel Jones' go-to guys there. Defense for the Browns wasn't really up to par. The Giants were just making some good plays and ultimately just getting to the ball quicker. But yeah, big win for the Giants. First win for the season for them, and let's see what they go from here. Next we have the Packers and the Titans. Packers, I would say, upset this game in a way. People weren't really expecting Malik Willis to do good. I'm kind of including that, but I just felt like the team itself was better than the Titans outside of the quarterback. Like, I feel like Will Levis is a better quarterback than Malik Willis, but literally every position, I feel like the Packers are better. So I just felt like an overall team they were going to do better, and they did. Josh Jacobs really didn't do anything, kind of a dud. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, there was no offensive production on the run game. Only 33 total. Take out 12 of that, and that's just 21 from the running backs, which is really pathetic. But you do have here DeAndre, probably, first game as a Titan where he actually did something, which is pretty remarkable. But the defense, I would say, for the Packers was just going crazy. Absolutely insane. They had 8 total sacks. Just hands down obliterated that offensive line. Titans go on to 0-3 going into week 4. So let's see if they can get their first win. I believe they're one of the 3 or 2 teams that have not gotten a win yet. So let's see how they do. Next we have Chicago and Indianapolis. Caleb Williams has not been able to find his groove. He did have a decent amount of yards, but 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and they still couldn't win this game, even though Anthony Richardson only threw 167 yards and had 2 picks. Somehow the Colts they won this game. Rashawn Johnson is the only running back, I feel like, for the Bears who's able to effectively get yards. DeAndre Swift has not done anything this year, and I honestly feel like it's just because of the Bears. But he's also made some really, really, really bad plays. Khalil Herbert hasn't done anything either. Jonathan Taylor, on the other hand, 110 for 2 touchdowns. So he was able to get things going for the Colts. Alec Pierce, 1 catch for 44 yards. I feel like him and Raheed Shaheed are like the same. They're like that 1 or 2 big play receivers, and they're just gonna make those 1 or 2 big plays a week, which is pretty much all you need, to be honest. But yeah, DJ Moore almost caught a Hail Mary at the end of the first half for the Bears, but the Bears go into the first half scoreless. Just a big win, honestly, for the Colts. Defense somehow stood up. The Bears are just all out of sync. This offense doesn't seem like it makes sense. The plays don't work. The plays don't get big yards. And playmakers are just not making playmakers. Playmakers are just not making plays. Plus, it doesn't help the fact that Keenan Allen is still out. So I would have thought this was going to be a pretty efficient offense with the amount of veteranism to help out Caleb Williams. But this offensive line is just really, really bad. Next, we have Houston going to Minnesota. And I don't know why I didn't pick the Vikings. I feel like a couple hours after I made the video, I was just kind of thinking to myself, the Vikings never lose to the Texans. Why did I pick the Texans? Why did I think this was going to be different? I thought, Jordan Addison is going to be out. They're still trying to find their groove with Sam Darnold. Houston is a better team. And what do? CJ Stroud, those 2 picks. doesn't really give me any yards. Sam Darnold throws 4 touchdowns. Aaron Jones hits 100. Cam Akers can only get 21 yards. He catches like an 8-yard touchdown. So the running game, non-existent for the Texans. Stephon Diggs had a pretty good game. Revenge game did not go his way there. Nico Collins also had a great game. Tank Dell had a pretty decent game, but then got hurt. And the defense for the Vikings is just very underrated, I feel like. I mean, they got 5 sacks off of this Texans offensive line, which isn't a bad offensive line. And, I mean, the defense for the Vikings is just ultimately what won them this game. You can probably go back. I don't remember the last time the Texans beat the Vikings. This is the 3rd game where I've seen the Texans play the Vikings and then lose. And every single time, the Texans had a better roster than the Vikings. I don't know what it is. The Texans can't beat the Vikings. It's just guaranteed. And I was telling some people this, and I was so mad. I was like, why did I pick the Texans? I was like, I know they're going to lose, but why did I pick them? And sure enough, they get blown out. They don't lose. They get blown out by the Vikings. So next time the Texans play the Vikings, no matter what, I'm picking the Vikings. It's just bound to happen. They're going to win. Next, we have the Eagles going to New Orleans. I had the Saints winning this game just because of the amount of injuries that were going to be going into this game. And I just feel like the momentum that the Saints had were going to change. But, this was a very boring game. The Eagles somehow won this game when they were scoreless entering the fourth quarter. It was 3-0 going into the fourth quarter, so this was a very defensive, boring game. Alvin Kamara did okay. Saquon had 147, 2 touchdowns. Quarterbacks, both of them didn't really play that good. Dallas Goedert had 170 yards. Devontae Smith had 79 yards before he exited the game with a concussion. Chris Olave, 86 yards and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 40 yards on 3 catches. Raheed Shaheed dropped looked like it was going to be a touchdown pass, about 40 yards, so he dropped that one. But yeah, this was a defensive, very boring game, like I said. Lots of defensive players were getting rotated for the Saints here. But yeah, I don't know how the Eagles won this game. Very boring game. Big one for the Eagles. Tough loss for the Saints, especially when you let a team who only scores in one quarter win the game. Next, we have the Chargers going to Pittsburgh. I had the Steelers winning this game, and Justin Herbert actually gets hurt kind of midway through, so he didn't really get to. Well, I would say he played a majority of the game, but leaves the game. Taylor Heineke comes in, doesn't really do nothing. It's just kind of garbage time. But, Justin Fields, he played okay. He threw a pretty bad pick, threw a nice touchdown. J.K. Dobbins couldn't really get going. I think it was just because of the offense. It just couldn't really get started just because of Justin Herbert not really being 100%. But, yeah, Najee Harris, to me, is one of the most boring running backs in today's league. It's just extremely frustrating and boring to watch him play. Somehow, the Steelers are one of the best teams in the league, one of the few undefeated teams. I was definitely not seeing that coming. But yeah, coaching is on another level at Pittsburgh. Defense played great for the Steelers as well. Kind of shut the Chargers down in all aspects. They caused them 0 points in the second half. Chargers were actually up 10-7 leading into the first half. But second half adjustments, Justin Herbert going down, definitely killed the Chargers' momentum there. But big win for the Steelers. Like I said, not expecting them to do good at all, and here they are 3-0. Next we have, it's hard to say if you want to even call this game an upset. It's more of because if it was an upset, that would be like the undefeated Raiders losing to the 0-2 Panthers. I don't really consider this a crazy upset. It was definitely an upset, but an insane upset? No, I wouldn't say that at all. Andy Dalton played fantastic. 319, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Gardner Minshew got benched actually for Aiden O'Connell. But yeah, this was a really horrible game for the Raiders all around. No run game. Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders actually were doing stuff this game, which was pretty crazy. Deontay Johnson, 122 and a touchdown. He kind of popped off. But yeah, this was an interesting game, guys. Definitely wasn't expecting Andy Dalton to come out here and just dice up the Raiders' defense like that. Makes me kind of worried come October when the Broncos have to play the Panthers. But yeah, this was a very interesting game. I was not expecting them to, straight out blow them out like that. This is only a 14-point game, but I mean, this was a this was a long 14 points away. Even the defense was playing great for the Panthers. This was just a great game. Adam Thielen had a great long 31-yard touchdown catch, but ultimately he got injured on that play. But yeah, this was an interesting game to say the least. Do I believe in this Panthers hype as the new quarterback rotation? We will find out after this week. You can't base a team off of one game. I don't think that the Raiders are as bad. I think they just played really horrible all around. So we'll see how both these teams do next week. But yeah, big win for the Panthers. So I just realized that my background was not on. So that's great. That's perfect. Well, yeah, I think everyone kind of expected the outcome of this game here. The Seahawks absolutely destroying the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins are not going to be able to do anything without a quarterback right now. The run game also didn't help them out on Sunday as well. But I think the Seahawks might actually be one of the best teams in the league. If Geno Smith continues to not lose them games, like if he can maintain a pretty solid, stat line, I don't see them really losing that many games. But, healthy. This team is healthy, offense-wise. Kenneth Walker didn't play. He was hurt, but, Zach Charbonnet, also, played really good. So, it is what it is. They're not crazy healthy in the running back department, but they're not, super bad injuries or anything like that. But, this game was pretty obvious who was going to win this. Dolphins definitely need a quarterback ASAP in order for them to, be in contention to win a game. Next, we have the Ravens going to Dallas. I feel like this game was, down to the wire. It was a toss-up, honestly, who was going to win this game, but I had the Ravens winning it, and they, barely won at the end. They almost blew a lead. Lamar didn't really play that great. Dak Prescott, played okay. He had a lot of yards. Derrick Henry really carried this team. 6 yards a carry, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. The run game wasn't really there for the Cowboys, which I think is a big reason why they couldn't, close this lead sooner. But yeah, this was just overall something that I was not expecting. I didn't expect it to be that close, towards the end with the Ravens having such a big lead. But man, the Ravens with the lead are probably the most dangerous team because they cannot, hold that lead. I don't know. I just don't know. The defense falls apart. The offense doesn't do anything. And they almost lose the game in the fourth quarter every single time they have a lead. But big win for the Ravens. Tough loss at home for the Cowboys. Next, we have the 49ers at the Rams. This was another big upset game. I was not expecting the 49ers to lose this game, let alone be that close. Brock Purdy, 292, 3 touchdowns, plays a perfect game. The defense is just what couldn't really fall through for the 49ers this one. Matthew Stafford didn't do anything crazy well. Jordan Mason, Brock Purdy, were the two main leading rushers. Kyron Williams, 89 with 2 touchdowns. Juwan Jennings, 175, 3 touchdowns. Just completely pops off. I don't really know how the Rams won this game, to be honest. The amount of injuries the Rams have no business winning this game, and I think is the biggest upset of the week outside of the Panthers and Raiders. But, yeah, this was a disgusting loss for the Rams. I don't know how you lose this game, but a big win for the 40. Disgusting loss for the 49ers. Big win for the Rams. Division win. Man, Seattle's definitely taken this division, it seems like. Next, we have Detroit at Arizona. They ended up getting this win. Jared Goff played okay, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Kyler Murray didn't play that great with 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But he also ran the leading back, so there was no run attack for this Cardinals offense. David Montgomery, 105 and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 83 yards. This is probably the best 2-back scheme, I feel like, in the league. Maybe outside of the Seahawks. I'm not really sure if there's any other 2-back schemes that are that good. Amon St. Brown, 75 and a touchdown. Jameson Williams didn't really do anything. Big, dud on my fantasy team for only a catch and 9 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., I think, is finally becoming the wide receiver 1 and securing, one of the top rookies in this draft for sure. But, yeah, this was a pretty defensive game for the second part of the half. Only 3 points from either team were scored. So not much was in the second half, but everything scoring-wise was pretty much in the first. And, yeah, tough win for the Lions, a great away win. A very winnable game for the Cardinals, and I feel like they just didn't take advantage of that. And, I think this is one of those games where it's like if you win it, there's a chance you win that division. Next, we have Sunday night. Very big disappointment from the Falcons. This was a very easy win for them, and they just did not take advantage of it. Patrick Mahomes has not been playing great this season. Kirk Cousins didn't have a great game either. Carson Steele, 72 rushing yards. Samaje Perine, 25. Bijan, the running attack this game was just not up to par. This was definitely not a game that they did good. And I feel like if they would have ran the ball well, they win this game by 2 touchdowns. Rashee Rice, somehow not in prison, has 110 yards and a touchdown. Drake London, 67 and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, 66 yards. Kyle Pitts, 2 catches for 59 yards. Juju Smith has his first touchdown of the year. He just got there, actually. Xavier Worthy has not done anything, since that Week 1 masterpiece that he had. But, this game comes down to the last drive. I'm not really sure what the Falcons are doing, running a toss, on a short yardage situation. But this was a very easy win for them, and they choke it away and basically spoon-feed the win for the Chiefs. So, yeah, that was a little bit disappointing for me as well. Next, we have the Jaguars going to Buffalo to get absolutely obliterated. The Jaguars couldn't do anything. They couldn't run the ball well. They couldn't throw. They couldn't stop the Bills' offense, obviously. Josh Allen just went completely off. 263, 4 touchdowns, 44 rushing yards. James Cook had a touchdown. Ray Davis had a touchdown. It feels like everyone was just doing whatever they wanted. Christian Kirk last week, of course, gave me 0.4 points or something like that. Now he gives me 7.9 when I don't start him. Actually, he had double digit because of the amount of catches he had. Big win for the Bills. Did anyone really see this coming? This was just a pretty obvious type of win. The Bills at home against the winless Jags. There's no reason for them to lose that game, and of course, they don't. Next, we have the Commanders going to Cincinnati to upset the Bengals. Jane Daniels played great, 254, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Joe Burrow also played really great, 324, 3 touchdowns, no picks. There was no run attack for either of these teams. I know Zach Moss and Chase Brown combined pretty much for 100. Well, they combined for 120 and a touchdown, but it just seemed like they weren't doing as much as the Commanders. Jane Daniels made some nice runs to keep the chains moving, even though this was the first game where it wasn't boring watching him play. Austin Eckler only had 3 carries, and then he got hurt for a touchdown and had a long kickoff return. Brian Robinson wasn't really doing anything, but he did get a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 118, 2 touchdowns. I believe he's a rookie or second year. I don't know how to say his name, but he got a touchdown as well. Terry McLaurin, who gave me virtually no points last week, of course, he gives me 25 and a touchdown when I don't start him. That's always great. Luke McCaffrey, surprisingly, is actually decent. 3 receptions, 44 yards. Zach Ertz, 38 yards. This was a offensive game, and the defense for the Commanders just kind of came through, especially in the red zone. So, honestly, this was a big upset. The Bengals are winless, and I would not have guessed that. Big win for the Commanders. Next, we have another upset. The Broncos going to Tampa Bay to beat the Buccaneers. Bo Nix has yet to throw a touchdown. Didn't throw any picks, though. Baker Mayfield didn't really play great. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Our run game is very strange. Tyler Beatty, he had 9 carries for 70 yards. Javonte Williams had 5 carries for 12 yards and I don't know how it wasn't ruled a touchdown. He was at the goal line. Jaleel McLaughlin, 5 carries for 7 yards and a touchdown. That touchdown should be flipped for Javonte, but it is what it is. A win is a win. Bucky Irving, 9 carries, 7 yards. Rasheed Wright, 6 carries for 17 yards and no touchdowns. Cortland Sutton, 68 yards. Lil Jordan Humphrey, 37. Josh Reynolds, 36. And Chris Godwin, 53 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans has been very quiet this season, and I think it's just because he's already kind of up there. I'm not really sure where he's going to go next year. He signed a 1-year contract to stay with the Bucs, but Chris Godwin is definitely going to be that wide receiver 1 moving into the next year. But yeah, the defense played great for the Broncos. 7 sacks. This offensive line for the Broncos allowed 0 sacks, and we were able to get 2. Wait, was it 2 picks or 1 pick? We got an interception. We actually lost Alex Singleton, our starting middle linebacker. In the beginning of the first quarter, he tears his ACL, but plays the rest of the game and leads the team in tackles. So that was kind of cool. But that's gonna be a big hit for us to lose our top tackler and just one of our team captains. But honestly, road to recovery. And what really sucks is that we don't really have any middle linebackers. So we'll see what kind of changes there. But big win for the Broncos. First win of the season. Hopefully that momentum continues. So now we're on to week 4 picks. I'm very excited for this week. I feel like these games are so toss-up. I feel like every one of these games is a 50-50, but going straight into Thursday night, Dallas going into New York to face the Giants. I have the Cowboys winning that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants win, but I just feel like the Cowboys just have a little bit more going for them, a little bit more organized of a team right now. But yeah, I feel like they're just going to win this game. But I wouldn't be completely surprised if the Giants win, but I just have the Cowboys winning that. Going on to Sunday, I do have the Saints going into Atlanta and winning that game. That's another 50-50. I wouldn't be surprised if either team blows each other out, or, it's a close game. I just have the Saints winning that. I feel like they're just a little bit better team, and I feel like they just had a rough week against the Eagles. The Rams and the Bears, this was another toss-up. I didn't know who to pick here because, the Rams did beat the 49ers, and the Bears are struggling. I just feel like the Bears are going to start turning their season around this particular game. I don't know why. I just feel it. Plus, it's a great week given the amount of injuries that the Rams are still having. But this is like a toss-up. I should have honestly maybe picked the Rams. I just feel like the Bears are going to win this game. I don't know why. Next, we have the Vikings at Green Bay. This is another toss-up. Either team can win this game. I have the Vikings winning it, though. I feel like maybe the momentum is going to carry into an away game. I don't know if Malik Willis is going to be starting or if it's going to be Jordan Love. If Jordan Love is starting, I may regret picking the Vikings, but I think the Vikings are just a better team right now. Plus, they're getting Jordan Addison back. So, either way, I think this is going to be one of the best games of the week. So, yeah, hopefully the Vikings win that. Next, we have the Steelers going into Indianapolis. I have the Steelers winning this. I just feel like they're playing a lot better football. Anthony Richardson is making a lot of mistakes right now. I'm not really sure why. And I just feel like they're not as organized and healthy as the Steelers are. So I just have the Steelers winning in this game. And I would be a little surprised if the Colts, win this game with how bad Anthony Richardson has been playing. But I wouldn't be crazy surprised. I think this is going to be a pretty close game. But I still have the Steelers winning this. Next, we have the Broncos going to New York. I have the Jets winning this game. I just feel like it's a little bit more of a momentum swing for them. Plus, they had an extra day to kind of recover. But, actually, they had a decent amount of time because they played a Thursday night game. And, we lost a couple starters. So, I just feel like the Jets will win that. I hope they don't. But I feel like it's the smarter pick to pick the Jets. Especially with us losing our middle linebacker, I feel like they're just going to run it down our throat. The Eagles at Tampa Bay. I do have the Bucs winning that game. This is a 50-50. Either team can get blown out here. But I feel like the Bucs just have a little bit better of a chance than the Eagles. Next, we have the Bengals going to Carolina. I feel like the Bengals are going to get their first win here. I would be a little surprised. I would be very surprised if the Panthers come in here and beat the Bengals and pretty much put a nail in the coffin for their season. Because if they lose this game, they don't really have a good chance at winning enough games to enter the postseason. So we'll see what happens here. But I think the Bengals are going to get the first win, get a little bit of momentum going. But I'm honestly rooting for the Panthers, man. That would be hilarious. Andy Dalton going into a revenge game and beating the Bengals. Next, we have the Jags going to Houston. I have the Houston winning that game all day. If they lose, I'm going to be pretty upset. Next, we have the Commanders going to Arizona. I have the Commanders winning that game. This is another toss-up. I could see either team losing this game or getting blown out. It doesn't really matter here. Next, we have the Patriots going to San Francisco to face the 49ers. I have the 49ers winning that game all day. I don't really see a reason why the 49ers should lose to the Patriots. It would be an extremely big upset if the Patriots go in there and beat them. The Browns are going to Vegas for the Raiders. This is another toss-up. Either team can get blown out here. Either team can win. This game could be super close. I think the Raiders have a little bit better of a chance, even though they do have roster issues, I would say. I just feel like the Browns sometimes are just completely dumb and are just not good. So I feel like the Raiders have a little bit better of a chance. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns win, but I think this game should be close. The Chiefs are going to be facing the Chargers. I have the Chiefs winning that. It's the Chiefs. The Bills are going to Baltimore. This is going to be one of the best games of the week, and it's Sunday night, which is really cool. I have the Bills winning this game. Would not be surprised at all if the Ravens win. This is another close game. But I just feel like the Bills have played a little bit better football. And I feel like when the Bills have a lead, they're not really going to choke it. If the Ravens have a lead and they start choking, you don't want the Bills to be your opponent. And then we have two Monday night games again, which kind of sucks. The Titans go to Miami. I have the Titans just because the quarterback situation. I just feel like the Titans are just going to run it, and I feel like the Dolphins are just going to run it. I feel like it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I just feel like the Titans are going to have a little bit better chance. Wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins win, just because the Titans suck. The Seahawks are going to Detroit. I do have Detroit winning this game. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks win. I honestly think they have a little bit better of a chance. The only reason why I picked the Lions is just because it's a home game. But this is going to be a close game. Both teams are fully healthy kind of going into this game, so we'll see what everything, this is a game where we'll really see if the Seahawks are like that. But, yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is a pretty quick of a video, but either way, I will see y'all next week for Week 4 and Week 5 picks. Hopefully your team wins, unless you're the Chiefs. I will see y'all next week.